What is going on, guys? Welcome back to a new Shine Funnel session. I hope you are doing incredible. Thank you for everybody watching this replay. It's a level up session, right? So this one is going to be a banger. I've just been putting together a really cool presentation to show you through the exact lesson I want to get across today, which I think is going to really serve your business, your marketing, and your funnels. So we will waste no time. Let's get right into it. So, a lot of you in the academy that have been through Pillar One will know about the three funnel system. So, the three funnel system is what I talk about in terms of, I'm just going to put myself right here overlaid so you can see me. Recently figured that out, by the way. Really cool. Um, so, inside of Pillar One, we talk about the three funnel system and how we use free things, cheap things, and expensive things to build the ultimate safe, predictable, like great coaching business online. And this was another way of presenting it. So if you are quite new to the academy or you are still a bit confused, I hope this is going to reduce that confusion and just give you crystal clarity on like, okay, here's the deal, here's the three funnels, and here's the strategy. Okay. The first thing that every coach needs to worry about first, okay, like when you first start out, or if you're getting confused or you're not getting the results, come back to number one, your expensive stuff. We're going to use a short form VSL funnel. Okay. One section. We have a headline, a subheadline, proof, a VSL in the middle, and a button to go and book a call with you. That's it. Okay. Why? You see, in a sea of people, let's say this is infinite people, there are only a small percentage that can afford your expensive thing, but they are out there. Okay. And if you attract them in, you can charge confidently and make a lot of money in a quick time by targeting those people. Now, why have I coined the three funnel system? Because I know working with coaches that not everybody out of 100 people can afford expensive things. So we have to sell cheap things too, right? And that is where the next percentage of people can afford, right? Out of a crowd of 10 million people, you may only get like a couple 100,000 that can pay you a ton of money. Then you'll get a good five or six, probably 2 to 3 million of those can afford your cheap stuff. Number three is giving away the free thing. So the remaining 6 to 7.5 million people in that bunch of 10 million are more than happy to be like, hey, yes, I want this free thing. Now, why is this system so effective? The goal, and I'll bring this up a little bit later, but the goal is to own the space, right? The goal is to maximize every piece of traffic you get. Now, at first, you are going to be running traffic, and let's just try and find an ad thing. Okay, this is an awful image, but let's just say this is our ad. All right. And I'll get myself a pen. And this is where we're sending them. Okay. At first, you'll send your ads to the expensive offer. And there's only a few people that can actually do that. So eventually, you're going to be having, say, let's just say 1,000. So this says 1K. We send 1,000 people to your expensive offer. You may only get like 5 to 10 people that put their hand up for that, right? What happened to the other 990 people? Those are amazing to present your cheap and free things. Now, here's why. Out of the free level, your whole goal is to be like, hey, 900 people, come back. Like, here's this free thing. Come into my world. And then there is ascension through trust and value. So the free stuff is like a university classroom. Like there's a lot of people in there. There's a teacher, and it's a learning environment. Whereas a cheap product, it's more like this intimate classroom, right? It's the next level for people above free. So there's less of those people. Remember, come back here. There are less people that can afford cheap than free things, obviously, because it requires money. But there are many more people that could pay $100 that could pay $10,000. Okay. So ascension through trust and value. Once you get into this room, picture this, the last time you went to a business event. I know for me, I think my last event was probably Stephen Bartlett. He was in London. It was a really great talk. If I get into that room, and it wasn't free, obviously, but let's just pretend Stephen Bartlett did a free online speech, training, masterclass, whatever, versus somebody who had never been to a free masterclass of Stephen Bartlett. I am much more likely if Stephen at the talk is like, hey guys, if any of you want to join me for my next private event, there's 100 people limit and it's going to be 500 each. Who's more likely to go to that thing? Me, who's been to the free one or the cheaper one, or somebody who's never even been to anything? They're just kind of here in this sea of people. So trust and value ascends people with ease. Okay. Picture this. This is a guy, right? You send them to a product page. Okay. I'll do a little money sign. That person is, let me just draw an arms and legs so we know it's a person. That person is way less likely to buy that thing versus how much more likely, literally forget everything I've ever said. Let's just zoom in on this image. We have Bob. I'm like, hey, Bob, I have a free thing. Here you go. How likely is Bob to take that thing? Especially if he's curious about it, especially if that free thing is actually something he's quite interested in. Versus, hey, Bob, here's this thing. It costs $20, right? Bob's going to be way less likely to buy the thing versus a free thing. Okay, now let's come back to the lesson. So we get people in with the free things. Then we say, here's some cheaper stuff. Try it out. It's quite affordable. It's that next step. Once you're in that private room, how easy is it to be like, you guys, thank you so much for coming. Here's our next level of value. Okay, our expensive stuff. Versus being like, let's just say this dollar sign is 10K. Hey, Bob, here's my thing. It's 10K. There's not many Bobs that are going to say yes to that. So this is literally, I want to try and, I was really thinking this week, how do I dumb it down for us? How do I really make this so stupid that you're like, Josh, this is obvious? Because we don't think about it in this simple way. So here's our reminder. Bob to a 10K thing is way less likely. We start off there because the occasional Bob who has money, let's just say Bob here has a big sack of cash. There are those Bobs walking around. Okay. So that's why I say, in terms of what you want to start with, you start with finding the Bobs who have money that will pay you lots of money because it will just get you going with so much more momentum, cash in hand, a budget for ads. Then you have to start thinking about, okay, now the next layer of Bobs is like $20 to $97. And this, again, is not the best drawing in the world. But what I'm trying to illustrate to you is the growth journey as a coach is you will start off by offering expensive stuff. That audience will soon slow down. So then you have to go to that probably 60 to 70% of the remaining people who are going to be able to afford. Sorry, I mixed up the percentage. The 20 to 30% of people that can be like, sure, I'll try it out. Okay. But again, if you say, Bob, here's my thing for $100, there's always going to be more Bobs that will say yes to something for free. Okay. So this is where the 3 funnel system comes in. And this right here is obviously free. Please forgive the drawings. So now that you understand the psychology behind this strategy, and we know at first the goal is more cash to get us going and to try and go for the bobs with money. All right. These guys here just have like a little wallet, a little bit of cash, but really all this is about, let me write one word for you. It's about permission. Okay. And I'll explain what I mean. Let's just say in a room of 100 entrepreneurs, based on the percentages I've been talking about, I said about 60 to 70% will be more than happy to take a free thing. Then you've got 20 to 30% will take something for cheap. And then the remaining like 5 to 10% will be willing to part ways with thousands of dollars. Okay. Now, if we take those percentages and we put you in a room of 100 business owners, this isn't percentages of who can afford it, right? It is not. That's an X. It's not that. Because in a room of 100 business owners, probably everybody could afford it if they wanted to, right? So the three funnel system is designed around one question, is how can I get permission to prove my trust and value? That's it. How can I use the three funnel system to create permission to prove my trust and value? And that is where the mindset shifted for me. And I've never looked back in the way that I use funnels, because I know it's not about who can afford it. Anyone can afford it if they want it. If they really, really wanted something, they'd afford it, right? So it's more about those 60 to 70% of people is the percentage of people that are willing to give me permission to talk about something after I've given them something for free. Think about it. If I go and try and advertise this cheap thing and it's $20, I'm only talking to 20 to 30 people out of a room of 100. If I give something away for free, I now have 60 to 70 people's attention. I have their permission to deliver free value and then talk about this thing. So then when you then get those 20 to 30 people into your cheap thing, instead of only talking to 5 to 10 people about your expensive thing, you are now targeting 6 to 7 times more people and being like, well, hey guys, now you've paid me a little bit of money. Here's my value. Here's my trust. Here's my expensive thing. It is all about the permission to market. That's all it is. It's the reason why people would create a free school group, right? It's just literally permission for the paid one, right? As a marketer, you want people in your paid one, but it's much less likely being like, hey, 20 to 30%, here's my paid school group. Not all of them are going to take it. Is literally just about being, hey, 70% of you guys come into my world, consume some of my stuff, and now you've got all these extra people to have permission to market to. Okay, same with your expensive level. So this is the image down here. I'll give you an example. So Tony Robbins, every year he does a free event, right? The Time to Rise Summit. He has the replays still up, actually, if you guys want to see it. The quantity of people for this is literally like a never-ending sea of hundreds of thousands of millions of people. Anyone, if this is relatively interesting, is going to be like, sure, because it's freaking free, right? The next level, he talks about unleash the power within, right? That's more like his stadium of people that he fills up, maybe 10 to 12,000 people in a stadium, and it's between 500 to 2.5K in dollars, right? By the way, Tony is at the top level with this, right? So for a lot of people, it is these images here. It's kind of like filling out a little keynote stage or like a small classroom worth of people. Okay, that's fine. Tony is at the top of the game. But then at Unleash the Power Within, he advertises all of these other events as a bundle, right? And it's called Mastery University. Okay, that's more like having that kind of university. For Tony, he can get a couple thousand people into that, right? But it's a big increase. And again, the whole time, I want you to think about this word here, permission. Okay, the only reason Tony bothers doing Time to Rise is to get permission to market Unleash the Power Within to millions of people versus tens of thousands. That's it. Okay. He's ascending people through trust and value. But the only reason he does Unleash the Power Within at that price point is so he gets permission. He gets more people in and now has permission to say, here's my 10K package if you want to ascend because you've received value and trust throughout this Unleash the Power Within. Then his next layer, once you're into his events, he's then going to say, well, hey, why not join? And this is more like a private networking room, right? My 85K a year platinum partnership. Okay. But why? Why was that possible? Because he started low and he got permission along the way while adding value, while building trust to be like, hey guys, here's my 85K a year thing. And it's way more realistic now that somebody's going to join that after having gone through the levels versus being like, hey, Bob, here's 85K a year. You're like, who are you, Tony? What do you do? And what the hell is 85K a year going to do for me? All right. The final layer for Tony is his subscriptions. They're about 97 to 127 a month. He can get, again, thousands, a huge amount, tens of thousands of people are making him millions in that subscription group. Okay. So when he does something like the free thing, he has all the permission to be like, hey guys, join Unleash the Power Within. Oh, and if you don't want to join Unleash the Power Within, come and check out AI, Inner Circle, Business Accelerator, right? Really, really powerful. And then as you go, you get ascended up. There's a question shift I want you to ask yourself. So most coaches will ask, what will get them in? So most people, they'll be like, okay, I'm doing this 4-day event. What's going to get them into this event? You know, what's going to be the hook? What's going to be the offer to get them into this event? The question you should be asking, what will get them to ascend after the event? So the question Tony asks really, really well, and that comes out through his marketing, is what is going to make somebody who attends this thing want to naturally ascend into Unleash the Power Within? If he didn't ask that question and he would just make a free thing that wasn't quite related with Unleash the Power Within, and there was a disconnect, who would upsell? Right? So a lot of you guys you're giving away something for free that doesn't make people ask the question, what's that next level? Right? You're not saying what will get them to ascend. We are so focused about, let's just think back to Bob. So many of you are so worried about selling a $97 or a $17 product. For what? You're asking the question, what's going to get that $17 product to sell? I'm worried about what's going to have that $17 customer join and be like, wow, yeah, I want to work with Josh and pay him 5K a month to do this for me. Okay. Big, big difference, because if you're fighting all day for $17 sales and you're spending tons on ads, not profitable, but you're still so worried about that, you should be more worried about taking every last customer and upselling them into learning about your expensive thing. Okay. Now, what does this all boil down to? The attractiveness of your offer. So the final phase of today's training is about the offer. Now, first layer thinking is your offer will help somebody get from A to B. Okay. Normally, it's in the area of like not having enough resources or money not being happy, or not feeling healthy. Okay, those are very common pain points if you really boil it down, right? If take a fitness person, for example, the main pain someone has is a fat, or they don't have a six pack. The main pain in the investment niche is somebody just wants money. Okay, so it always boils down. Here's a little formula. So the pain they're feeling creates negative emotions. Those negative emotions puts them in situation A, which is being poor, being unhappy, being overweight. Your solution, your offer, okay, this is your offer, is the positive change from that situation A. Your positive change, the offer creates more positive emotions, which then puts them into situation B. So your solution, your offer is X. Okay. X equals situation A solved, and X equals situation B. Your only job as a coach, as a business owner, is to create X. Okay. Is to solve their situation A, and it's to put them in situation B. That's your only job. But now we have to think deeper. So, second layer thinking is expanding on the pain point with empathy. So, this is the difference in like you're just poor to being like, okay, I hear you. You're not going to have enough money for your kids to eat great food. And you're going to be always comparing with people that have nice cars, nice holidays. Okay, you see how this is starting to reflect into how you talk in your marketing, on your sales pages. Remember the question we were asking on your funnel, on your ads. What is the offer that is going to make them want to ascend? Not just about what's going to get them in. Okay. And the types of things that you are going to be saying to get them to feel value, feel trust, is by having second layer thinking. So you will never feel trust enough by somebody who's literally just like, I'm going to help you make a bunch of money because you don't want to be poor, versus the guy who's like, I completely understand. You want the best holidays, the sports cars, the financial freedom to retire your parents, have the best life for your kids, your grandkids, and generations above, right? You will break the cycle. When you're saying these second layer thinking, sentences out loud, that person on the other side is like, yes, yes, and yes. It is not just about the money, right? It's about wealth for generations, abundance, having a great lifestyle, doing what you want and not worrying about your money in the bank, right? But there's one more layer, and it's third layer thinking. And this is the underlying emotion as you are talking about your offer, is the understanding and the emotion that comes through it. So now we're not just saying like you're being poor, not having money is going to mean you can't afford great food. You're going to be arguing with your family, jealous of the sports cars, jealous of the holidays. Why is that important? The only reason that us as entrepreneurs don't want to be in this state is what happens if we actually damage our family? Now our kids are actually poor themselves. They actually are struggling beyond what you can control. This isn't just about having pot noodles now. This is about like putting your family in danger and having to go to a 9 to 5, which would, mentally kill you. And the last image is ultimately you will die with all the regret of not having given your family and yourself that lifestyle that you knew you deserved. So now imagine I'm a financial coach and I start talking about, look, when you're on your deathbed and you look back and you've not hit the financial success you wanted, how's that going to make you feel when your kids are starving because you can't afford to put great food on their plate and you had to go crawling back to that shitty McDonald's job because you could barely scrape together pounds from your business, right? Those are the absolute essentials of bringing in that emotion, that story, which is going to help somebody to really trust you on a deeper level. Okay. So when it comes back to the start, what we want to try and do, number one, is our expensive funnel, the short term, short form VSL. In that VSL, you are now going to be talking from a third layer thinking level. Okay. Whatever it is you help people with, let's say it's trauma from bad relationships, trying to repair relationships. You're not just talking about you want this relationship back. That could be the first level, is trying to be happy again, right? Trying to repair the relationship. But you have to ask yourself that second layer of thinking, which is expand on that pain point with empathy. Okay. So expanding on the pain point is like, if you don't repair this relationship, the depression will continue, the anxiety, the stress, the overwhelm, not wanting to come home with your partner. That's what it's going to lead to. And then you go, third layer thinking is the underlying theme of everything, which is, if you don't fix this now and you don't work on this, you're not only going to destroy this relationship, but you're going to destroy future relationships. You might even ruin your dream relationship that would end up being your future wife or husband, because you are accepting the issues from today that's making you unhappy in your current relationship. Okay. One day, again, often it can come to death, because that is the kind of penultimate thought we all have, is when you come to die and you look back and you just wish, man, I wish I fucking fixed my psychology. I wish I worked on my mindset to improve my relationships and get out of that bad one and start again and just reshape who I am to attract my dream wife, my dream husband. Now that makes for a much more powerful VSL, wouldn't you say? Okay. And then that gives you a deeper understanding of how to impact people at different levels then. So if you do a free challenge about relationship repair, and you bring all of these underlying third level thinking stories and emotions and understanding, that person is going to be like, yeah, that's me, man. You really understand me. There's trust, there's value. You're going to help them through. And then when you're like, okay, if you want to become a client, start off with 2 sessions, right? $100 is a deal we offer for every new client. You're going to be like, you know what? Yeah, I got so much value. And now you've got the permission to market to that 60, 70% of people based on your understanding. And you're not just worried about getting the 60 to 70. You're worrying about the question, what will get them to ascend, which is the offer, which is the third layer thinking, which is that deep level of trust and impact. Okay. So this training, it started off simple. I feel like we ended it there quite complex, but I hope you enjoyed it. I may even stick this on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, let me know what you thought and leave me an honest comment. And if you have any suggestions for more, I would love to hear it. So with that said, I appreciate you guys very much. Take a snapshot of this. Let me zoom out. I could zoom in on different parts here. That's part number 1, snap. It's part number 2, sort of like that on the right-hand side. And this question, what will get them to ascend? All right. Please go and apply this. Start with a very simple short form VSL funnel. Okay, but make that VSL so impactful, so deep and understanding with all your third layer thoughts, right? That is what's going to get people not only into your expensive offer, but they will stick around. You know, they will become long-term clients. And this is what I've experienced in my own agency. When you're at that level, those people stick around. And then once you've got that in a stable place, let's say you've enrolled 3 to 5 to 10 clients, whatever your capacity is, then you start launching something for cheap. Okay, going after that 20 to 30% then, right? Now, why do we start in this kind of reverse order? And most of you would think you probably start at the top, right? Well, honestly, no, because there is a value to these people. While there's 60 to 70% of people that would say yes to a free thing, they are less valuable than just 20 to 30% that are actually willing to give you their money. Okay. If I had the choice between the free peeps or the paying peeps to present a 10K offer, I'd choose the paying peeps because they've already paid me, right? They've already shown the means to invest. So that's just that. And you'll find that as you get going as well. The free people will take a lot longer to upsell, right? So it's quite tough to be like, here's something for free. Bam, here's my 10K offer. Unless there is really a tremendous amount of trust you already have in those free people, if they are warm already. But for now, start with the expensive peeps, find those rich bobs. Then we have to find the more reserved bobs. Okay, but they are likely to then go, you know what, that was good. Let me pay you more for the next level. And then finally, you start casting wide nets and going after those free people, going after this massive sea of people. Then you're attacking the world by storm, you know, like Tony. You got free things, you got cheaper things, you got memberships, you have deeper events, then you have your premium private network, and it all just flows together. He pours the traffic just like this, pours the traffic at the top, and everybody gently spreads out through the levels. And that's how he has built a massive multi tens of $1 million coaching business online. All right, guys, I appreciate it very much. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on my next video. Peace.